All right, then I'll call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mockler.
Here.
Raylo.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
She is absent. Hammond.
Here.
Right. Are there any conflicts of interest to declare? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
It's a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move to approve the minutes. Second.
It's a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Are there any visitors to be heard? Right. And the first item on the agenda is State's Attorney Michael Smith. And you have Rob Marlowe with you.
Yes.
Welcome.
We'll do just a short introductory and then let Rob kind of take over here for questions. And I'm sure he's got a little bit he'd like to tell you as well. So this is Rob Marlowe. He's with the Boys and Girls Club. He's now working as the diversion coordinator pursuant to that grant that the Clay County and Union County both were in favor of. So if you remember, Andy Broken Leg was here along with members of Boys and Girls Club a few weeks back. So this is filling the role of, it's JDAI, right?
JDAI, yep.
Is the acronym for the grant. And it's a year-long grant, but it's potentially up to 3 consecutive years, what could be ultimately the end result of the grant. I think that's kind of been the going rate, if you would, around the state. So expectation is that for the next 3 years, Rob will be working through the Boys and Girls Club as the Clay County and then also Union County Youth Diversion Coordinator.
That's right. Yeah. So my name's Rob Marlowe. I'm originally from Yankton. I grew up there. I came over here to school back in 2017. I graduated in 2021. My background is political science. That's my main major. But I was going to be a history teacher for a long, long time. So I have a lot of history and education behind me as well. My fiance and I, we just purchased a house here in Vermilion not too long ago. We live on Elm Street, so that's really fun. And I'm really excited and really eager to get working with a lot of the kids in this community. We're already taken over the teen court process from Olivia Paulson. She was in my position previously, and she left it in a great spot, and it's going to continue to be great. I'm looking forward to that. We got court night this Thursday, so that should be fun. And then, like Michael Smith here alluded, we're going to be expanding into case management diversion and also JDAI. In case you don't know what JDAI stands for, it's Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative. Basically, it's like a framework. It's like a way of thinking to try to come up with better places for kids to be detained rather than, let's say, up at JDC up in Sioux Falls. So that could be coming to the Boys and Girls Club for the hours a day where they're supposed to be watched or whatever. Or it could be ankle monitors, like electronically tracking these kids. It also could be, for example, with case management diversion. Instead of doing the teen court process, this is more for like repeat offenders and kids who maybe the teen court process won't really work. Instead, it's a little bit more of an intensive process where they would meet with me every week and we would do evidence-based programs, things like Botvan life skills training and other programs like that, and hopefully teach them how to, make better choices. But that's a little bit about me. If anyone has any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah. No, it sounds like we're moving in the right direction in that area.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's always work that can be done. I'm glad I'm here to help out a little bit. So.
Rob has reached out to Northern Hills out in the western side of the state, has been running through Boys and Girls Club a similar program since the 90s with, I think, the same coordinator. Is that right?
No, the same coordinator. The coordinator that has been there now, she's been there since 2007, but she's still been there a long time.
And so the hopes is that myself and maybe Caitlin and Rob here in the next few weeks are going to make a trip out west and go spend a day kind of learning the ropes from people who've been doing this for 20 years in a program that's been well established for 30.
Love it. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is really we're in the infancy stages of all of this, but I think we're going to try to lean on folks and programs that have already been successful to try to figure out how we should be running our own program. So we'll probably do that over to the western side of the state, and same thing up in Cottington County. Is that right?
That's right. Cottington County up in Lewis. His name is Lewis. He works for the Boys and Girls Club up there in Cottington County, and I haven't heard back from him yet, but we're gonna go up there and we're gonna do a site visit there as well, learn from him as well. So.
Well, and I think so. Michael had talked about how there's like kind of the standard model, and then you were talking about a case management style, and it seemed like when I was hearing about that previously, I was expecting that was kind of like a little bit of like a lower one for smaller infractions. Am I getting that right? Is it kind of catch both sides, like things that need more intensive and also less? I was excited about the idea of being able to broaden the program.
So the way that I understand it, when it comes to teen court is like the first step in the process. That's for first-time offenders. Case management could be for those kids who continue to make those poor decisions.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more of an intensive process, more of a wraparound service where it can be more individualized when it comes to the case management diversion. That makes sense?
I think so, yeah. Yep.
Sure. And I do think that there are, and this is something that we'll have to explore, I do think that there is a potential avenue as well for catching some of those kids with offenses that aren't maybe the work that they'd put in for teen court, which
that's
is
what I was
regimented.
Yeah,
and that made Rob and I haven't had a direct conversation about that yet, but I had brought up the idea, of course, that you're going to have potentially kids tobacco violations, if you would, that perhaps would just prefer to pay their $100 ticket than go to teen court, potentially exploring diversion options in that situation as well. That would be something that would probably look lesser than teen court regiment.
Okay,
there you go. That makes sense.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I'm excited about it. Yep.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction for the county, and I mean, I personally am really enthusiastic about it, and I think it's going to make a real difference, in the lives of individual kids, but also in the lives of the community. So
for sure.
Yeah.
Cost savings and better outcomes for the kids. Who can ask for anything more, right?
You can't complain there.
Yeah. Any other? All right. Well, thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
See, is Rod here?
Yep. He's hiding behind the post there. No.
Can't see.
Gotta hide better than that, Rod.
Good
morning.
morning. So it looks like first thing on the agenda is the SDDOT bill for the.
So this is Bridge. I don't know if everybody was on the board back then, but we had this bridge we're gonna have the state take out, and nothing had been done, and we got the excavator and I had my guys take it out, and then I got in trouble for taking it out. So this is the money we have to pay for the studies that the state did. It was 10,000 something, but it was for hydraulic, environmental, and I argued with them the other day with no end, and they said I was the one that took it out without permission, so I guess if we're gonna have to pay it. It would have been more than that if we'd have went through with it. Our 20% would have probably been about 25,000 like it was on the other, but I didn't realize that it was on the list. I didn't realize that they'd already done some work on it, so that's what that bill is for.
All right. So is there a motion to approve $10,212.33 for DOT for the bridge over Ash Creek?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion?
So Rod, do we take this? Does this come out of the general fund? I mean, are you budgeted for this?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
we already had we were from 2 years ago, But yeah, I was expecting it to show up, so it's fine. Unfortunately.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Right, then
So now to another bridge removal. This is the structure that's north of the landfill and west of the bluff on 314th. It's coming up for removal in 2025. I talked to the Clayrell Water, was the only one supposedly that had any utilities there. I talked to Rob and he said they're on the east side of the bluff, so there's no water present and encroachment. The only thing we have down there is trees that are gonna come out when they take the bridge out, and everything will be in the right of way. So there shouldn't be any trouble with that. Just need you to okay, approve and sign so we can keep that one moving unless there's a reason we don't want to take it out.
No.
I plan on sending letter to the adjoining landowners to tell them that it'll be coming out. I know we had one landowner, I can't remember if he came in to the meeting or not when we first closed the bridge. Richard Abel lives up on the hill up there. He didn't want it, and I think Jay Bottleson maybe came in and talked about they take their kids down there to go fishing, which right now there's no really any water to go fishing in the creek. This is over the Clay Creek, not the Vermilion River.
I think Jay came in and talked about the one over the Vermilion River.
Oh, is that the one it was?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, but, so I know, so I figured I'd send them a letter, which I done before, just so they know what's going on, and just, if they got any questions, give me a call, but this, I don't know why they skipped the one on 314th Street and the Vermilion River by the other one we took out, and they jumped ahead to this one. It's kind of hit and miss, whichever they decide to do, so. Do you got a set of the?
Yep, I sure do. Yeah, so I think the action that's needed then is to authorize the chair to sign the certification that's required by the state.
Yeah, one of them's a right of way, one of them's utilities, and the other one is encroachment. And they changed it because, well, I guess the encroachment one, I did sign that one, but the other ones require you and Carrie's seal of approval, I guess.
Can you get an email from Clayrell Water that says they don't have any pipes there?
No, that was verbal.
Yeah, can you get one?
Yep, I will.
Because they don't know where all their lines are at.
Yeah, but I will get I will get verbal. Or I mean, I will get a email, so.
All right.
But I mean, there's no reason why there should be water on a minimum maintenance road that goes nowhere, you know.
Yeah.
I know.
I just had firsthand experience of them marking it and not where it was at.
Yeah.
And then they told me they don't really know where they're all at.
No. Okay.
I just
I
had
will.
one a week ago on my property too.
Well, if you want to wait till I get that, we can
No, I think
table this till the next one.
I think we'll be fine as long as you get it.
Okay.
Just put it in the file.
Okay.
And is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
It's a motion and a second to sign the certifications. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then we've got Dakota Street and Dawson Road bridges.
Yes, we met with our bridge inspectors on those two bridges, have large damage, I guess, bank. Gonna take quite a bit of bank stabilization, I guess is the best term for it. So Alltech, they're working on a plan. I turned it in to emergency relief. They're coming on the 20th. Emergency relief is on our FAS federally funded roads. So they're coming to look at 302, 306, Dawson and Dakota Street Bridge on the 20th. I believe that's next Tuesday. So Pier will be down. Federal Highway will be with them, so they can see, and we're proceeding with a plan. Just not sure. Unfortunately, when we involve engineers, it takes a while to get anything going, but the ball is rolling. It's rolling slowly, but
Yeah, I'm guessing there's a lot of competition for their services right now.
yeah. And so the reason, I mean, we have Alltech. I recommended, you approved at the beginning of the year that they were gonna be our bridge inspectors. And every 2 years we have to pick a new one. This is their first year around and with us, so they got stuck with some, and these have already been emergency inspected, so they're still fine and safe to be open, but another event like that without us doing something, and hopefully ER will be there. There's some other funding too, and Alltech is checking into what all's available. So I guess after the 20th next commissioner meeting, hopefully I'll have a little better update on, but there's extensive damage on. The one I'm worried more about is the Dakota Street Bridge, so, because it's working on the southwest side to come in to.
You're worried about the bank, not the bridge.
No, the bank, yeah. I mean, I'm worried about another event. It's gonna be close to the backside of the bridge.
It reached the armor on the outside of that curve of the river.
Yep.
And so it's, another event like that would erode back towards the bridge pretty quickly. I think if we had a similar, or even, doesn't have to be as big of an event as we had this time.
Would it do start where we've stopped?
And we haven't gotten the ruling on how far. They want to look at it before they say how far they're willing to go to give us money to protect it. But that one's pretty obvious on the southwest side.
Yeah.
I mean,
Did you say you were gonna look at Tabernacle too? Or not?
we did already, but that is not on a federal road, so that'll be on FEMA.
Okay.
And yeah, just an update on that. I hired Scott Persing Contracting. We dumped some riprap up there. We're gonna build a bridge out in the river, kind of taken after what the railroad did down here. Okay. So we can get an excavator out in the river. I don't know if any of you have been up and looked. I should have had a picture for you, but there is an unbelievable amount of trees under the bridge where we can't reach them. And there's a sandbar there, which is a good thing. The sandbar there didn't erode around the piling. So we got to get out in the river. And we exhausted everything we can use, and he's still going to have to get a long reach. And I could get him. The other guys are pretty busy. So yeah, that'd be interesting. But the west side, we need to riprap there anyway. Whether we gotta pay for it, FEMA gotta pay for it, we gotta pay for it before FEMA pays for it anyway, so we need it there anyway, so.
And the grain facility.
So I talked to Tim Adams on this morning from Alteg. I met with him after the team meeting or Zoom meeting, whatever we had. And they contacted him after the meeting. And apparently they don't think they have time to come up with a set of plans for the turning lanes. So they want him to come up with a set of plans for the turning lanes now. So I really don't know.
On our dime?
I was just
Adam.
gonna ask that.
Adam, are you on?
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah, did I say that right? Is that what they contacted you about?
Well, she basically let me know that the DOT is going to require the use of turn lanes, a right turn and a left turn. The state's traffic planner decided that that was a need. He has the proposed design for that, or the lengths, I guess, anyway. They're going to come up with a cost estimate. They want us to do a cost estimate. Paula felt that the district, Vermillion District down there is too busy, and they're probably going to have us do the design. I've not been contacted about this yet, so I don't know if the DOT is going to do it or if we are going to incorporate it into your guys' plans. That's up in the air right now, but I have not heard. So she did allude to the fact that if we did not move forward with the turn lanes, the grant would probably not be awarded to you guys. So that's unfortunate. I think she said they're thinking a 1/3 split between all three entities, between the county, DOT, and grain facility. That was being proposed at the time as well. So that's the information she gave me. So this week, I think, was the commission meeting, and it's not going to be on the agenda this time because they want the resolution of what's happening with the turn lanes to be done before they decide on your grant.
Before, we were just talking about a left turn lane.
Yeah. They want a right turn lane too.
That was not
part of our call the other
And
day.
that would be down,
Yeah.
that would be down where they would be turning off 50. That's at a different spot.
The left turn lane would be coming onto, what is it, 456?
456.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
so both turn lanes are going onto 456.
Correct. Yep.
And they wanna close the median. Right. Off coming out of 313, so you can't cross the highway and come east. You'll have to go west, turn, and come back.
I see.
Because they're worried with traffic backing up, not having the turn lanes. And
Yeah.
but I still don't know how we get around the train issue.
Yeah.
Because they're worried that what happens when the train comes through. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. You sit there and wait like everybody else, but
They say no stacking on the main highway, and yeah.
well, I don't know how you're gonna get around that. That's just gonna happen.
That's what they're going to use the right turn lane for, is the storage, and the left turn is basically
Right, but they're gonna get more than 3 semis there at one time.
Oh, I thought somebody said like they're going to be like 2,000 feet long.
I thought they said
I thought the whole project,
1,400.
700 each.
But even
Or
then, if a train's
700
coming
each.
through there during harvest,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be too hard to get 10 semis stacked up there.
Right.
My feeling is this is deja vu all over again. With the ethanol plant, this is exactly the way it worked. And Merle even said on there that they lost so many acres to the flooding that they definitely ain't gonna do nothing this fall, don't sound like. And the way he talks, it's still up in the air whether they're gonna build there, but yet they want us,
Well, we're not spending a dime, and I told Merle that too.
because
Until
that's,
they commit, we're not spending a dime, and we'll turn the grant back.
and his commit letter was not that exact. I mean, it just seems like they're waiting to see if we can do it before we, I mean, and the ethanol plant had purchased the ground also too, and we just about spent, I don't know, over $1 million to build a concrete road up to what would be
Right.
nothing. now too, and I just hate to see this is working the same way as that did.
The only difference is Southeast isn't trying to go bankrupt.
Right, right. And I know they got quite a few terminals around, but I would sure like to see a little more skin in the game from them guys, and seems like it's all falling on us.
I mean, have we even heard them? So I don't know about this 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 business, but have they? I haven't heard them indicate that they're comfortable with paying 1/3 of that either, right?
No, and I've heard where they've had the place that's building it have to brunt the whole cost too, you know.
It's
But-
just another conversation we're gonna have after we
Right.
get the costs.
But we had a Zoom meeting, and I don't know, from now on, when that comes up, I think none of the commissioners were invited, the engineer wasn't invited, and I said this at the beginning, the first meeting I had with Merle and his engineer, we got into it over the phone, and he had a different story than I did, and I told him I will not meet again unless it's in front of the board. And yet, this wasn't Southeast, it was the state. I don't understand why they didn't have any of you commissioners on that meeting. They didn't have any of Alteg engineers. I mean, the railroad, I would have thought the railroad would have been. It just don't seem like, I don't know, it wasn't comfortable to me. I'm glad you two got on there, so you can hear what I hear. Cause I don't like just to be the middleman. That doesn't make sense, so,
So next step continues to be finding that cost.
yes, I
But
believe,
we need
right?
to find out who's paying for that engineering work, right? So we just wait to hear from the state whether they're,
Yeah, I think Adam we'll get some cost estimates and turn them back in, and then I think then they'll reconsider. I imagine we'll have to have another meeting before it even gets to the board, transportation board. I would assume. Cause they haven't even looked at it yet. It was supposed to be on the 27th, of July, but they held it off till the Zoom meeting, so. And I don't know if they have those meetings every month or if it's every quarter. I don't know. Do you know, Adam?
Transportation Commission meetings, I believe, are monthly, yes.
Okay.
She did indicate also that if and when you guys are awarded that grant, I did ask about the time frame. She said, yes, there is a time frame tied to it. However, since the facility has claimed that the flooding has slowed them down, that would also affect your grant, and you would be allowed that extra time to spend that, and you wouldn't lose it due to a expiration date or anything. So if this did to extend to a 2026 construction, once that facility is completed next year, then that would likely work. But obviously we'd confirm that with them. So
That's about the extent of it, I guess.
Right, so we wait for cost estimates and follow the process.
yeah, I will keep Rod up to date once and if the DOT contacts me about these turn lanes and if we are doing them or they are. So I will let you know.
All right, thank you. All right, I guess next on the agenda is the change order for the epoxy
For the
chips.
we got
FEMA payout.
Oh, I'm sorry, oh, FEMA payout, sorry.
So, Travis had asked about if we got money paid for Clay Creek, which I got a hold of the state guy and he gave me all the check numbers. So after the meeting today, I'm going up, talk to Rhonda. And I don't know what, and Carrie too, probably to see, I got the check numbers for the Clay Creek, but they added the Clay Creek and those two culverts. I believe one was in lateral 1B and one was lateral 2A, if I remember right. That washed out, we had Weeman put in, right north of Frank Orr's old place. One was on 310 and 311. I think that's north side is B, right? So 310 was on the north side. So we got two checks, but they added together. So I guess if you divide up so we received 40,863.44 for the Clay Creek. And then the other two were two different laterals. We got $5,448. So I don't know if you just, but then there's also 10%, 15% that you got to pay yourself. And that's above my pay grade to figure out what that would be.
I got it covered.
Yeah.
I was able to go back and look at the
Okay.
dollar amounts that we received.
Okay, so you
and-
already took care of that?
And when we got the check, there was no indication
I
that they
know.
were for the ditch or
No.
what it was for. So when we receipted it in, as FEMA money,
Okay.
but then I was able to go back and split it out to the ditches where it needed to go. So we're
Okay.
good.
Okay. I just wanted to bring, so then, I was kind of curious what else we got. So the other checks, I got this little thing, I didn't bring but like the first check there for 32,000, that was for debris removal across the whole county. The second check on the list there was to repair what we call Yachts Dike, but county actually owns that west side of the river dike, that 1,000 feet. Then the third check, that was just what it costs us to maintain, put up the barricades. So that's for protection. Then the others were just for various county roads, reinstall gravel, and stuff. I got a breakdown here, but basically that, and there was one check, small one in there for, I think the 2,000, that was for office, our time, what the secretary and I spent putting the paperwork together. So basically we ended up with $194,996, $5.72. Besides, that's what the county and the ditch board got to 46. So I thought, never really looked at it that close before. But when he asked me about that, I tell you the truth, I didn't even know we got the money. I figured we had to have, but that goes straight to the
Rhonda.
either treasurer's office, right to the treasurer's. So,
And they don't get a breakdown. It's just a check.
yeah, I got the PW 980, the check number.
And
So I figured we could look it up somehow, but that's good. I'm glad you got it.
when did these come in? Just to kind of get an idea what the FEMA lag is.
21.
21.
The last part of 23.
Last part of
Yeah,
20.
that's right, 23.
Okay,
For the
Yeah.
Clay Creek one.
For the
was
Clay Creek.
last. Because we had like a year and a half of arguing. Alexis had to write a letter and
Well, and then we had a whole year of waiting to get the job
To get-
done because we
yeah.
didn't have anybody that could do it right away. So
yeah.
These
But-
are from 2019, right?
yeah, it's from 2019.
Yes.
Damage in 2019, reported in 2019, work was done like 2020.
No, the work was done in 22
Two
on
or
Clay Creek.
three, 20. Yeah, late 22. I
Late
believe.
23, no, last year when we did the Clay Creek. Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
it was just last December. It
That's
got
right.
finished.
So did they pay out pretty close to that work getting done? On that, was
think
that
we got
true on
it
all
in-
these or not?
I think we got it in July, wasn't it?
Oh, I was thinking it was later than that. I thought it was more like October.
No, well, we got the check.
Yeah.
This money.
I don't remember the exact date, but I really thought it was more like October.
Well, we didn't finish the work until like the 1st of December on Clay Creek, the FEMA part. So this stuff just came not that long ago.
Right.
But now the other stuff, because it was all one check. Some of that stuff got
Oh.
drug out a long way.
Okay.
That was done.
Maybe there's a date on you.
So did we get the check when, like, did the end of the project happening trigger it and it just took several years to do the work, or?
End of the project triggered us getting refunded.
Okay.
Right.
But, you know, like I said, the project didn't get done until December 1st.
Yeah.
And then we got reimbursed after that.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
4 or 5 months.
Yeah,
would say,
once I
for
put it all in that grants portal, then it kind of triggers everything to finish up.
Thank you. Just trying to get a little better handle on it because I know
Yeah,
we're about to get on
Oh, I
that
hope-
carousel again, right?
Yeah, I hope you can, cause it's terrible how long it takes, but, I just thought it was interesting, thought you ought to know what.
Yeah.
That we did get paid anyway, so.
All right. So change order, and it looks like we actually saved some money here. So it was the epoxy chip seal, and the adjusted total is $186,660.20.
Yeah, and Brad,
Yeah, Brad, this is Brad, I'm on.
Hi, Brad.
Yep, that's payment for our epoxy seal work, and it was a bit lower, and that had to do with the amount of actual deck repair where we had to jackhammer out and put back, and once we milled it off, you know, we then sound the concrete, and that milling it off had reduced the amount that we come up with our sounding. So we had to do less repairs, which cost less, and that was the cost savings there. And then I will find all these projects out this fall sometime, but I guess, you know, really neither BX nor I have the ability to do that here yet for another month or so.
All right. So I think the action that's needed is to authorize the chair to sign the change order.
So moved.
Second.
So motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
is that the one that we tabled?
I don't think that was, right?
It is not the one we tabled. So I'll find all those both out this fall, because when I was visiting with the contractor and they weren't ready yet either. So neither contractor, neither PCI nor BX was ready yet. And frankly, I'm not either. So we'll get that final paperwork done, but we'll have to catch it up here in a little bit.
All right, great.
Thank you, Brad.
Anything else, Fred?
Got this.
No, not for highway, unless you have anything.
Hold on, stitch board.
So is there a motion to go into ditch board?
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are in ditch board. Travis.
Okay, we've got the Clay Creek ditch culvert.
We
That
got
was
this,
on Donnie Loeb's.
yeah.
It looks like it's
Corrected.
Corrected, yes, and my new secretary took the prices off the wrong sheet, so we got that. I'm glad you brought that to my attention, but that's the true cost, unfortunately, for, I believe it was 70 feet
Yep.
of culvert, a band and a flap gate. So that was Clay. Yeah, Clay
Creek.
Creek. Yeah, it says just ditch board.
Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign, motion passes. Lateral 50B culvert installation.
Yeah, so this is the one Todd by requested. And we've been waiting for a year, so I contacted Weeman. He told me to get somebody else. So it'll be put in this weekend. I I got a young guy up in Irene that's been working for a lot of the townships. Complete Excavation LLC. His name's Jason Duton. And he's pretty hungry and he likes the smaller projects. So I'm gonna add him to our local bidding list also. So he's gonna do that. The one, I think it's 312th Street. But I got thinking that has to be 58, doesn't it? It's on south side of the road, or how does it? I don't know. See that 50 I don't have on my lateral
It's
map.
B.
It is B. Okay. Okay. So, and I know there's another one. Larry's gone. There was another one someone brought up at the ditch meeting on a corner. I have no idea where that's at. Do you?
A corner, a culvert?
Yes, a culvert at a corner, but Larry went with Weeman and looked at it, and I'm not sure if that got put in. And I gotta wait till Larry gets back, but I for
think
life.
this one.
No, this is on the intersection. I mean, at a road intersection. It seems like it was north of 50. But I have to wait till Larry gets back. So
Okay.
I'm gonna have that. He said he could do that one too. I know it was approved. Maybe I look back in the minutes to see where it was. I think it was at your annual ditch meeting. That was, I don't even know who brought it up. But we'll get that one put in too. So.
Petrick has one too. Oh,
That could have been who it was.
I don't know if it was him, but he has one that needs to be replaced too.
Okay.
And we definitely need to go look at it for sure, because I don't remember if that one got brought up or not. We'll have to approve.
But
changing that one.
That's all the update on that ditch I have, unless you got something else I need to
Nope.
look at.
Entertain a motion to come out of ditch board.
Move to come out of ditch board.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion passes. We're in regular session. Betty?
One thing I will say, due to the fact that Highway 48 is closed in Union County, all of a sudden, all the traffic, trucks and otherwise are using 302 east of 19. Only way to get across 46 being closed east of Beersford, and 302 is not holding up very well at all. We're up there, patched three really bad holes. We're mastic sealing, try to get rid of the, on the cracks, get rid of that. So when the trucks hit it, but yeah, and Union County just closed one lane of the bridge on 302 east of the interstate 29 because they had a big hole in their concrete bridge about the size of a truck tire. So that's down to one lane. So maybe that will slow the truck traffic down, but I don't know. We've been taking a lot of beating on our 306, 302 since they worked on 46 up there last 5 years. So it ain't holding up very good.
So is that pressure's not gonna let up anytime soon either, right? Or they're not opening that road.
I talked to DOT and they're hoping late 25 they can get that bridge in over there. It's not the river bridge, at least. There's a little creek which turned into a massive river.
Yeah.
But I haven't been over there, but yeah, there's no chance it's gonna be done yet this year. So.
But by the time they finish it, there'll be another road that's closed.
Yeah.
They'll keep using it.
Right. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a need for executive session, so I will stick around.
All right.
Get these here.
Let's see, Corey. Got your budget for weed control for 2025.
Good morning.
Not exactly sure what I'm supposed to do.
I think that what most people do is just tell us that, you know,
Big changes.
any big changes in your budget from last year, and where are they and why?
There are really no big changes except for the weed machinery and auto. And at this point, I wrote down 41,000. I think it was 3 years ago, we were supposed to get a new Kubota. We never did get that. We had it ordered and it never came.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to be able to get 2 new Kubotas and also a new trailer to be hauling them with, which the trailer is about 10,000 from Road King to have it built. And that would give us a better trailer for hauling them around. The one that we're hauling them around with has too light of axles and we're taking bearings and tires out of it. So, but that's the only real big change this year.
So you'll have a second trailer like that?
We will surplus our old trailer and the 2 Kubotas out.
Yeah.
That we have now.
Yeah. And the one that we've got will hold up okay. So, one of the things that I've got a Road King that had that same trouble and I took it back to the factory and had them put heavier axles under it. But, as long as this one will hold up until the new one comes in.
Yep. This one is basically done being used until next year around this time, about a month before this time. So.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
Everything else looks exactly the same as pretty much.
Yeah.
We gotta make him sweat. It's his first one.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
you don't.
A little groveling.
Yeah.
No.
Right. Well, thank you very much.
Yep.
I do have, do we trade the Kubotas in then, or do we have to surplus them and auction them?
We'd surplus them too, I think.
But I mean, to
Yeah.
trade in or?
Rod, help me out. We just surplus the Kubotas out and.
I think we get a better price.
Yeah, we've never traded them in.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
think. And I do think, is it the city of Wakanda? I think is wanting to buy one of them from us.
Okay.
Yeah, the city of Wakanda's looking, when he gets rid of them to, you know, make an offer, buy it on auction or whatever.
Yep. Sounds good.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey.
Right. So Scott, got your budget up next. You got the exciting budget. Just moved all around all over the place.
Well, apologize because you guys got kind of rough draft. I didn't really get a chance to kind of tweak it till the last couple of days. So I'm not sure what all you want me to cover here. You want me to go over the whole thing or just maybe I'll just start out with the furnishing and minor equipment, because that's a pretty significant number there. And what I did there is I went talking to my vendors and suppliers about what we're going to need is the new LEC. So that's why that number is so significant.
So that can't come out of the bond?
What's that?
So the new furnishings can't come out of the bond for the LED?
See, I don't know how that works.
I think they can.
Yeah,
Can they?
I think so too.
Okay.
But I'm gonna make sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so that would be to figure out.
I'm
We
planning,
could be
I'm
accounting-
planning on it, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, yeah. I didn't know, and I thought, well, better get something instead of having everything one big huge surprise. So I just tossed that in there, not knowing for sure how it was going to be handled. So
Well, and going forward with so with the law enforcement center being a different building, is this going to remain the same budget item in coming years, or things like furnishings at the law enforcement center going to be included in the courthouse line?
Well,
Is that-
when I speak furnishings, I'm talking about janitor carts, custodial equipment, snow removal equipment. I'm not talking actual.
He won't split it out. I mean, it's easier if he doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just gonna get lumped together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
So-
general government building budget,
Yep.
so as long as Scott is in charge of both buildings, it'll just fall under that one budget.
Sounds good. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, I just basically took last year's back in May and did my year to date. Divided it out by 5 and kind of come up with what my monthly expenditures are. And so I think I'm pretty close to being on there. I kind of refigured everything yesterday at a 7-month point. You know, some stuff's gone down in costs and some line items have gone up. Professional fees and services. I was spending a lot of money in the beginning of the year because we had no custodian in this building or at the courthouse. So I had to hire some services. So that number got significantly higher, but it's dropped quite a bit over the last couple, 3 months. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable in my numbers, where I'm at, what I think I'm going to need. So I have a list of projects here that we've done. Anticipated repairs and projects. Not everything is on here, but kind of a list that I started when I first got here. I could hand it out to you if you guys wanted to see it because it kind of.
Yeah, we've got it in the packet, I think, right?
Yeah, this is a
Or
little
in
bit
the budget
better here
packet.
because I was able to tweak it a little bit
Oh,
more,
okay.
but yeah, I've got, I'm looking for requesting, like, I believe it was $80,000 for improvements, what I put under, government buildings and improvements. And when I tallied up on here, it was quite a bit more than that, but that's kind of the way it always is. You got more projects than money, so you just have to kind of pick out and choose what you want to do, what you think needs to be done, and try to get proactive on that sort of stuff. I mean, if you want me to go over some of that stuff, I sure can. If you want me to hand this out, I sure can. It's all up to you guys. I don't want to overload you with a bunch of papers and stuff. If you got any questions, I can sure answer them for you. If you want kind of an idea of what projects doing in the remainder of this year and next year, I can go down that list with you if you want. Yeah, that's all.
So when the new law enforcement center gets open, do you have a trailer to haul skid loader back and forth?
That was figured in the this equipment for the LEC. Had a trailer in there and it's about 13,000. I had to figure something big enough to haul. Been looking at a tool cat versus the skid steer. And I just figured it's more versatile. So yeah, that made the price of that trailer significantly more.
Corey left, didn't he? Rod, do you know, is that trailer good enough to haul tool cat?
What's that?
The one you're gonna get rid of?
Well, that's pretty big just for one. It's 26 foot long. But
Bumper or gooseneck?
yeah,
Bumper hitch.
but yeah.
Is that too much then?
How long is it?
26.
26.
24.
Yeah.
It's a tilt bed.
Tilt bed.
It depends on how sturdy those axles are.
Right, but they should be at least 2 7,000-pound axles.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be good enough for that.
I just thought we
Yeah.
wouldn't have to buy one.
Yeah,
you go.
we could buy another set of axles for it. You know, that's not a big deal.
Well, we can always send it through whatever it needs to get refurbished.
Right, yeah. Road King's pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Well, I think Corey got an estimate on it for the. I think. Can't remember if he was going up to 9,000 pounds or 8,000 pound axle, but I don't remember. But he talked to, is it Road King north of?
Yep.
Yankton?
Yeah.
So I mean, instead of buying one, we can.
Sure. Makes sense. Yeah.
We can leave.
I mean, we're not probably not gonna use it a ton, but it's there if we need it. And
Well, I would assume we're gonna be hauling a
yeah,
mower or something.
right. Get the
Yeah.
mower over there. Get the tool cat over here if we need it. You know.
we can leave the budget as you've got it set up and happily have a little extra at the end of the year if we need it. Did you, have you had time to, think and work on, the idea of attic fans up here?
No, I knew there was something I was supposed to ask that guy yesterday. They write that down. Had the engineer call me and about the LEC, and I knew I had a question. I'll make that call when I get out of here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you know, I got some money figured here for a snowplow for the pickup too. I don't know when we get rolling, we got the LEC and this going, and I get fully staffed, which I'm kind of looking right now, thinking it's going to be 2 full-time people out there, you know, just by the size of it and in my gut, my experience. And so, you know, if I get a full staff, you know, that would be, we'd have 3 people out moving snow in the heat of the battle. And if I had the plow for pickup, that's just kind of, you know, cherry on top, if you will. And have me or somebody else in that. I mean, moving snow here is going to become a little bit easier because the parking lots aren't going to be full. So we'll be able to maneuver that pickup around a little bit better than we would be able to now over here. This little parking lot out here to the west, that's always kind of going to be a pain, if you will. But we're able to get in there with that Mammoth we have with that blower or broom on there and do that pretty quickly in that small lot, you know. And to the north here where the PD parks, you know, and that garage is, who knows what that's going to look like when we move in and take over in here. Are we going to enlarge that? Are we going to bring the garage down, enlarge that lot? Because, right, I know I'm kind of getting off the rails here a little bit, but no, that lot's pretty small for public parking. They're going to have a lot of bumper car action in there, but you know, so things are going to change over here a little bit as far as snow removal. So I think the pickup could be pretty useful over here. Plus, who's there operating the pickup could swing out to LEC, help them do mop up and whatever out there. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for the grand scheme of things for snow removal. So. Anything else?
Other questions?
Nope.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks, guys.
No, thank you.
Your budget next. The grant agreements.
Okay, I believe Carrie sent the contract out to everybody, and I have no idea if Michael looked at it or not, but it's basically the same as it is every year.
I did have a chance to look at it and I felt the same.
Okay. Yeah, good. Yeah, it's the thing for the widget counting, so.
We'll move to authorize the chairman to sign.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
Set for another year.
Yeah, that was easy. Just to give you a quick update on flooding stuff. As people are still calling me wondering, no, Biden is not angry at South Dakota. There's a rumor going around that he's not going to declare South Dakota because he's mad at it. That's not true. It takes up to 45 days once the paperwork gets sent from the state to the feds. So by the end of the month, it'll probably be there. So we will get public assistance. Individual assistance is still up in the air. I talked with Lincoln County. They had 58 homes impacted in Canton, and they're not even sure they're going to get it. So, but if you hear that it's in the progress anyway. Talked to another township even this morning. So if they ask you, just remind them it's their responsibility to fix the damage. Whether or not they get reimbursed doesn't matter. because there's places that are being put on hold until they get money. Well, the F in FEMA does not stand for fast. And
It stands for forever.
It stands for forever. And as you've seen earlier, it could take up to 4 years to get reimbursed. So, but anyway, if you got questions, let me know. We'll go from there.
Thank you. And Beersford is here. So would you like to come up?
Bridget Tweed is their advisor, instructor.
Hi.
So I'll let her.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us here this morning. We have the state winning egg issues team here. We'll be presenting at nationals in October. Their topic today is on eminent domain. And so we wanted to kind of present to you guys and allow you to ask some questions and maybe have these kids ask you some questions back about eminent domain. With their egg issues topic, they have to bring up both sides of the story and not really come to a conclusion. So that's what they're going to do for you this morning. I think if you guys want to, we can set you right up over there. They have pretty good teacher voices, so they won't need a mic or anything. So
Well, we've got folks off site.
Yep, and this is actually going to be up on YouTube, so we want to make sure you guys are in the microphones and that people can watch this anytime they want to. So not to make you nervous, but this is part of the permanent record. So yeah, so they can come up to these mics. Yep.
Yeah, 4 mics available.
Yeah. And you have to get your face pretty close to the mic for it to work.
whatever works for you guys. We can use these little chairs too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fine. You want to sit your big ones back there? We'll just use these smaller ones. Yeah. Yeah.
Then just space those out.
Yeah, put that one here too. Those, so they're kind of.
How long are the leashes on David's here?
If we need an extra mic, I think this one has some extra cord on it.
Okay.
That one doesn't. That one's pretty well settled in.
I think we need to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And these are always on, so there's not hot buttons.
Yeah.
Well, whenever you're ready.
This town hall meeting will now come to order. Our main order of business for the day is the topic of eminent domain. The question being discussed today, is eminent domain fair for all parties involved? Today, we will hear from several different local views on the topic. Does anyone have any information they would properly like to share?
My name is Kayla Jensen, and I'm a local homeowner. Home is where the heart is for many people, including myself. When there is a project that would benefit the public and that requires your property, you may receive an offer to sell your property. The offer various companies may give you for your home could be offensively low. Let's take a look into the new Veterans Parkway that's going up into Sioux Falls, South Dakota. This will be a 6-lane highway that will run from I-29 and up to the east side of Sioux Falls to meet back up with I-90. This new section of Veterans Parkway will get dangerously close to people's beloved homes. This is a huge safety concern for many homeowners, which leads me to believe eminent domain is not fair for all parties involved.
Hi, my name is Kylie Mockler, and I'm the manager for the CO2 pipeline my company is trying to implement through South Dakota and Iowa. Over the years, I've worked with members of many communities to bring the future of pipeline transportation in the United States to life. An author from the website Energy Transfers says that the affordable and abundant energy transported by pipelines also translates to lower gasoline costs. With that being said, I believe that the idea of eminent domain is a necessary entity to push this process forward.
Hello, I am Carly Christ, and I'm a local business owner who has witnessed the unfair use of eminent domain, which has led to the condemnation of many properties in my area. This can have an extremely adverse effect on business owners who lease commercial property, and they may lose substantial profits because of the loss of their business's location. This leads many business owners to call an experienced but costly eminent domain attorney to discuss their rights. For these reasons, I believe that eminent domain is not fair to all the parties involved.
Hi, I'm Ethan Hauk, and I'm a project manager with the Department of Transportation. I am responsible for building, maintaining, and upgrading the statewide transportation systems to ensure residents can travel safely and easily. When designing a new roads or expanding an existing transportation system, the DOT will identify the property it deems necessary to acquire for the project. If a private owner holds that property, the DOT may obtain the property through eminent domain, but the agencies must follow specific conditions outlined in the state law. During this process, on another note, according to the Federal Highway Administration, when acquiring private property for project of the right-of-way, certain federal regulations must be followed to ensure owners are paid just the right compensation.
My name is Luke Sanderson, and I am a fourth-generation farmer fighting against the Summit carbon pipeline passing through my land. Summit is currently planning to trench through a total of 20 acres of my operated farm ground. If this pipeline passes and goes through my farm ground, it will affect the soil for at least another 3 years. 2 years ago, I agreed to pass the Northwestern Energy Pipeline through my farmable ground, and the ground still doesn't perform as it did before. A study from Iowa State found crop yields in the right-of-way were reduced by an average of 25% for soybeans and 15% for corn during the first and second crop seasons, compared to undisturbed fields. Because I value my land and its quality, I'm not in favor of this pipeline nor eminent domain.
Good morning, everyone. I am Grace Norling with Poet Ethanol Systems of Hudson, South Dakota. The transportation of CO2 out of our plant currently relies on costly and dangerous trucking companies. Our company would much rather send the CO2 out through a pipeline in a safer and more cost-effective manner. Eminent domain is a necessary evil and a great tool we can use to accomplish this task in a fair manner for all parties involved.
Eminent domain is a complex issue that requires careful consideration of all factors. Now that we're all introduced, who would like to start expanding on tonight's topic?
I would like to start expanding on the conversation. As I stated at the beginning, I'm extremely concerned about the safety factors of eminent domain in both the pipeline and roadway perspective. My house is dangerously close to a new highway coming into Sioux Falls, South Dakota. According to KELOLAND News, a 70,000-pound semi takes 650 feet to stop at 65 miles per hour. My house is only 120 feet from the public right-of-way. These semis and cars could very possibly end up in my home if an accident were to happen.
I completely agree, Kayla. The safety of our community should be first and foremost. In South Dakota, the Department of Public Safety reports that over 5,000 semi-truck crashes have occurred in 2024. This number has significantly increased from the year before. The new carbon pipeline leading out of our plant would drop our need to transport CO2 by truck by nearly 70%. Less trucks on the road means less truck accidents and a safer driving environment. Being able to use eminent domain to construct this pipeline is necessary for our public safety.
I strongly agree that our community safety is tremendously important when talking about eminent domain and its effects. As a business owner, we do, however, need to take into account the fact that customer traffic is important for businesses. If the business was in a prime location, it may have to move to an area with less customer traffic and could possibly lose business. For instance, at the T-exit, located just south of Sioux Falls, a prime location for customers. Businesses are being relocated due to the ongoing construction of the new road, Veterans Parkway. This negatively affects the local businesses, causing them to essentially have to start over in the building and operating process of their business.
As the project manager, I oversee the project of the Veterans Parkway, connecting I-29 to I-90 on the east side of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Across the nation, the transportation of goods and services is vital to our economy. Large semi-trucks cause constant stress on oil and gravel roads in the country that don't get maintenance as often as highways and interstates. Veterans Parkway allows trucks to travel more efficiently and avoid roads often used by local farmers. This would make these country roads safer, less busy, and more easily maintainable.
Speaking of eminent domain and keeping roads in proper shape, with this pipeline coming through our local farmland, it almost doubles the travel on my local gravel road every day, which will destroy the road and my fields after rainfall. Or if we get put into another drought situation, it will add dust. And not only will it ruin the roads, but will also affect the compaction of my field, as well as leaving deep tire tracks, making it much more difficult to complete fieldwork.
9 times out of 10, I've heard this argument be made when farmers start to question the quality of their land after the pipeline is placed into their field. Surprisingly, adding a pipeline to your land can help protect it from future projects, like Highway 18 near Canton, South Dakota. The widening of this road has led to the relocation of many landowners' houses, barns, sheds, and other necessary farmland utilities. In spots where a pipeline was installed, the road had to move around the land in order to keep distance from the pipeline. This protected the landowner's property while also subsidizing the money lost from that section of land.
But the topsoil dirt is heavily disturbed. It will never perform like it did before. A 2021 Iowa State University study of pipeline construction states that extensive soil disturbance from construction activities had adverse effects on soil physical properties, resulting from the mixing of topsoil with backfill brought in for filling pipeline trenches. This is what I'm worried is going to happen once again to our local farmers.
Another pressing matter is the topic of air pollution. According to the Union of Concerned Scientists, heavy-duty vehicles like the trucks used to transport our CO2 comprise only about 10% of all vehicles on the road. Yet they generate more than 25% of global warming emissions, 45% of nitric oxide emissions, and nearly 60% of direct PM2 pollutants. Using a pipeline instead of these trucks would have a huge impact on our carbon footprint. When talking about eminent domain, the biggest thing to keep in mind is what's best for the greater good, and this pipeline is important for the health of our environment.
What about the people's land you would have to go through to put in a pipeline?
Pipeline companies who use eminent domain to go through a landowner's property must provide the owner with proper compensation for the ground. As a rule, the pipeline company will agree to pay a set dollar amount per linear foot of pipeline that will be laid on the property. This amount typically resembles what the property included in on the easement would sell for if the land was sold outright to the pipeline company.
Even if the company pays me for the land, they don't cover the emotional effects. For instance, at the T exit near Sioux Falls, eminent domain was used to move many shops and businesses away from the road, and many had to close down. Although they were paid for their land, the emotional trauma of pouring their heart and soul into a business and then having it ripped away from them is horrifying. According to a study at UC Berkeley, 72% of entrepreneurs reported mental health concerns. As eminent domain continues to take place across the U.S., this alarming number exponentially increases, especially in cases of businesses having to relocate. In addition, certain relocation costs are not covered. Ordinary cost of living, running, or operating a business in the new location, interest on a loan to cover moving expenses, or the cost of finding a home or business site as a replacement.
If this pipeline comes through my property and it's not useful to me as a community member, then why should I give you my land? According to Cato.org, 3 to 4 million Americans, most of them ethnic minorities, has been forcibly displaced from their homes as a result of urban renewal since World War II. The majority of the people involved did not benefit from the use of eminent domain on those projects. In San Francisco, 4,000 people living below the poverty level were relocated to new neighborhoods so that hotels and business sectors could be developed. It is easy to see how eminent domain at times can be an unfair practice that targets the poor, certain minorities, and other specific demographics.
As Grace stated earlier, eminent domain is all about the greater good of the people. Even if the pipeline put through your land doesn't directly affect you as a landowner, the effects come back in the long run. For over a decade, the U.S. government has been quietly funding the capture of CO2 that is ultimately used to drill greater amounts of oil. An author from the website The Washington Post said that the oil would be drilled anyway and that this process can help companies learn how to capture CO2 more efficiently, helping the environment and lowering the cost of fossil fuels.
This is a very complex issue that we are discussing this evening, and there are many parts to each side. What are the rules involving the regulations of eminent domain?
Under Codified Law 46.8 1.2, locations of routes restricted, states no routes acquired under the provisions of this chapter may be located within 250 feet of dwelling house or other building site, on the premises or across any non-commercial orchard or garden without written consent of the owner. This section does not apply to works located in the public right-of-way or water distribution systems as defined.
As a business owner, I know my rights. The taking clause, a subsection of the Fifth Amendment, provides protection against the taking of property by the government without proper compensation. And SimmaLaw.com adds that the government can only acquire private lands if it is reasonably shown that the property will be used for public purpose only. Federal, state, and local governments can seize property under eminent domain laws as long as the property owner is compensated at fair market value. Therefore, I must be fairly compensated for my property in order for eminent domain to be justified.
The final rule we will be bringing up today is the right of eminent domain for application or conveyance of water for beneficial purposes. This takes us back to my last talk about whether eminent domain is useful to all people affected by it. This law states that application of water to beneficial use is a public use in the public interest and of benefit to the public, which means if the water pipeline is being placed, it is to be used for the public good, then eminent domain can be used.
Now knowing these rules, are there any final remarks that need to be placed before this meeting is adjourned?
Today, I shared with you the cons of roadway factors with the use of eminent domain and the safety factors that could not only affect my family, but those impacted by eminent domain.
During our conversation today, I articulated the pros of how my company can work with farmers and business owners to execute eminent domain to complete the pipeline project. I explained my duties and how the pipeline will benefit the nation.
Today, I presented to you the cons of the condemnation of property laws through eminent domain. Business owners need an adequate amount of compensation, or eminent domain is not fair to all people involved.
I indicated to you today the Department of Transportation has rules, laws, and factors that affect its work while using eminent domain. These laws are looked at to determine whether eminent domain is necessary to complete a project.
I expressed the cons to you today. The concern of the farmland when eminent domain causes disruptive entities to pass through. Soil disturbances, increasing traffic during constructions, and the future of my farm could be affected through using eminent domain.
This morning, I stated the pro side of the eminent domain argument and brought up positive effects of CO2 pipelines and its benefits, including decreasing transportation of CO2 on semis, eliminating a carbon footprint on our nation.
It is now up to you to decide if eminent domain is fair for all parties involved. I properly declare this town hall meeting adjourned.
Good job.
Nice work. A lot of good research. Oh.
Yeah, well done. It's I was impressed at how you went well beyond the primary effects of eminent domain, as well as the tertiary and secondary and third and fourth types of effects that can all end up intersecting and interacting with each other. So not only several various good points of view, but also some really good in-depth looks. I really commend you. You've done a great job, and I think we probably should hire this group. It's not just eminent domain, but there many of the decisions we make here have similar
secondary, tertiary, quaternary.
That's right.
Yeah.
that are important.
Yeah.
Yep.
And eminent domain has been a prominent part of discussion on one issue that we've dealt with over the last year and a half, and that is trails, citing recreational trails. And, you know, a real concern on the part of a lot of people, whoa, you're not going to take my land, are you? And I think we've been pretty clear that that's off the table for all the reasons that you all have articulated so well. I actually have had an eminent domain claim made on land that I own in another state, and it was to put in a sewer line and and to build a road. And what they did basically, I mean, they offered us $3,000 for land that was worth at least $50,000, and they cited the line. They took out ancient wild oaks, old eucalyptus trees. I mean, this beautiful natural habitat that is habitat for a lot of wild animals, and they took it. But we didn't settle for the $3,000. We hired a lawyer, and we knew it was for the public good, right? You got to have sewer lines, and they were building. It's an ag zone, but they were building a huge development up, you know, about half a mile away, but uphill from us. So we still don't know how it's all gonna affect our drainage, because we've got a good sized drainage ditch across the property, so. It really is. It was very, very interesting to me to hear your arguments, because I can see both sides of it.
We're proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions for them on that topic?
Stop up too this one. Their brains going.
Who all can use eminent domain?
Well, it's any like state-owned business can, and can't almost anybody. I think you just have to get it approved.
So you have to be a government entity, state, federal, or local.
Yep, state, yep.
For the public good, or you have to be a common carrier, which would be your water, your electric. CO2 is actually considered a common carrier now. Oil.
In other words, kind of expanded to things that could be under the common good, I guess. What's broadly beneficial to society, and then you got to define how wide you're defining society, whether it's say here in Clay County, or for the whole state, or for the whole region, or for the nation. And I guess with CO2, we even make considerations on what effect those uses could be to the whole world. What other questions?
You know what Summit is paying, since you're the representative of Summit? She wasn't prepped on any questions. I was just wondering if they would ask that at nationals. Or...
Yeah. I'll get back to you in a later date.
These guys are pros. Wow.
Yep. So for Summit, and I don't know why they're going by the rod, which is, help me out here, Dick. Do you know? Is it 16.5 feet?
16 2/3 feet.
Is a rod. They're paying $850 a rod. So on a quarter mile, or on a quarter mile, 68,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're paying for an easement. They're not even owning the land. That's just for the access to it. And that's the minimum they're paying.
Yeah.
They are paying more, but that's their minimum.
So what do you mean when you say rod?
It's 16 and 2
unit of length that is not commonly used these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
But
It's an antiquated unit of length. And so you kind of wonder why you would use that antiquated unit of length in order to figure it out.
Maybe so people don't figure it out.
Well, I guess that's the implication, perhaps.
But yeah, if you ask Summit, they're going off the rod.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I don't know why they're not going by the foot.
So on something like a pipeline discussion, do you guys have an opinion about what level of government should have the deciding authority on granting eminent domain for like a pipeline through somewhere?
I mean, I think it says something like if it's just like the state government, I think it's kind of nice to if it's like the local entities that are doing that, they can kind of have more insight into it because they're closer and maybe they see it more often. Maybe they even like drive by the area on their way to work. Whether if you have this bigger entity where it's just kind of like, hey, this is a little spot, a little problem. Like, is this as necessary as a different thing? So I guess as far as like a personal opinion, I don't really know if I have one, but just maybe kind of the smaller the local area. Cause I mean, like if it's a road I drive by on the way to work, you know, and I see this field that I don't know needs something done to it or a line put in, and then it's kind of, you know, a more personal problem.
I think that thoughtful discussion is better than an opinion. So thank you. Yeah, that's good.
I think this has been a good, fun challenge for some of us because we didn't necessarily get to pick, I guess, which side of the argument we were on. And so it sometimes doesn't align with our personal views, but it definitely gave us a good challenge to see it from both sides for everyone.
Very important thing for all of us to do, try to argue the other side of things that we.
And during our research, we got to kind of see both sides. So now we can kind of look at both sides and kind of make our personal like belief or opinion off of both of the sides because we researched both.
Fantastic. Run for a seat on your local commission. That's what you gotta do. Yep.
As far as where you think that certain decisions should be made on, eminent domain, there's different levels of decision making that should be made there. For instance, at the state level, what agencies within state government would bring the right expertise to making decisions on eminent domain versus coming to the local level where those at our level and perhaps even township level have a better idea of the effects on the ground very locally. Where do you think that where's that balance? Where's that uneasy balance of how we should apportion that decision making? Any thoughts on that?
I think it's really easy for like the people like higher on the higher end of things. They're just easily, yeah, we're gonna take your land, we might not get proper compensation, but we're gonna take your land and walk away with it. Whereas like the locals, you might be neighbors with that person or, you know them better. So you're a little bit more understanding when you have to complete a project and you're in need of their land.
Maybe a little more bias too, though.
That's true. Well, and when like you guys, you have local farmers on your stand, and that's easier than high up. I mean, it could be just some person that lives in town and has no idea anything about the ground and what that really could do, where you guys have local farmers that know what that's going to do to their ground.
Well, maybe to throw like a counter thought, a counter argument in there. I really appreciate having an highway system or interstate highway system. Makes it 60 miles, 60 minutes to get to Sioux Falls. We're able to have cheap goods transported by trucks across the country. That system's paid for by the federal government, which I really appreciate. But I can imagine that as that was going in, most counties had people that said, oh my gosh, are you seriously going to put like a 4-lane highway across grandpa's land? That's crazy. So to me, that's an example of the top level needing to sometimes make decisions. To me, that seems like a very strong public good all across the nation. It's allowed a lot of economic development, a lot of regions to be developed that wouldn't be developed otherwise, rapid transportation of goods and people. So, but I can imagine that if that was up to every county to decide whether the interstate was going to go through right here or not, I think that was probably would have been an impossible fight.
Right. I think that's a good point too, because no matter what anybody does in the face and the name of eminent domains, everybody's always going to have an opinion. I mean, some people are going to say, this is great, we need this. Other people are going to be like, we farmed this land for a long time. Like, what are you doing? And it's really interesting to see both sides. But as far as like an interstate goes all the way across. I mean, so I think that's when the federal government says, okay, we're going to put an interstate in, then it's kind of like, well, we need this, and it can be said something about, well, where are we going to put it in and what's going to be beneficial? And maybe some sort of like route could be figured out. But I think as far as an interstate goes, that's a fair point to make, that, it's vital and it's essential. So the federal government has a great hand in that. But yeah.
And your grandpa actually had the interstate come through his land.
Well, there you go. I didn't realize quite how much on the nose I was hitting that way.
And then like Veterans Parkway, I mean, there's a video that shows where Veterans Parkway, like it's them developing it. I mean, the amount of farmland it goes through, and like they're going to have to completely change that. Like no farmer can physically get across a 6-lane highway to the other side of his field when you're going through the middle of it. Like that's just going to have to be changed. And then like, I mean, you're going through people's houses, like the video, it just tears the house. Like it's gone. And like, I don't know, it's crazy. I just don't know how that's even possible to go through like the middle of a farmer's land. And then how are you supposed to farm on both sides of a 6-lane highway?
That was the big consideration back when I-29 was put in. I didn't move to Spink until I was 14 years old, and I remember when I was a littler kid, we lived up in the Loess Hills in Iowa, and that distance view of the earth movers going up and down by Jefferson, which was miles away from me, but within distance view. And then we moved to South Dakota, and I moved to within 2 miles of the interstate. That even 10 or 12 years after the highway was built, there was still a little hard feelings by guys that had to go all the way around. And I worked for farmers in our area extensively. So I had to go around when I was going to outlying fields to guys that I was working for in the farm industry. And so, yeah, an old adage in law is where you stand depends on where you sit. And I think that's really important when we're thinking about these sorts of issues. How close are you to the problem? I just drove the Parkway for the first time about 2 months ago. Boy, it's nice. It's nice and smooth. It's nice and smooth, but if and looking, I'm one of those that when I travel anywhere, I'm just a geologist. I'm always evaluating the landscape. And one of the ways that I evaluate it, since I'm an old farm kid, is that, how has this affected those guys since it's a brand new parkway?
Yeah, and it says something about that too. Like, obviously, they wouldn't put a whole street or a whole interstate in if they didn't think it would be used and useful. But it also has something to say about like the accessibility for farmers, like taking a tractor across 6 lanes of traffic at noon. That's crazy. So it's something to think about. Like if there's some sort of bypass or some sort of secondary highway to make that accessible, or a bridge or something like that to make it accessible.
Sure. But those cost money, of course. And this guy on the second end, that's his job to consider that, but probably go, oh, cow, that's going to cost a lot.
Doesn't affect me.
Yeah. The other part too is that where like a highway is a permanent use that is very obstructive versus pipelines, you bury it, and our farm guy here, he's got documented degradation of the soil under the over the pipeline, which is you figure up the acres that's involved, but in essence that's sort of temporary. That land will rehabilitate a little bit at a time, where it's an easement use rather than complete purchase and displacement use like a highway is. So those are some other thoughts that when you go to national, you probably end up being asked questions like that. How much weight should we give to permanent displacements versus temporary easements? Weight against the common good.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It has been a pleasure. And good luck at the national.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting.
Have a good time. And remember, we're proud.
Yeah.
You can just leave those there.
Like somewhat normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're onto a big issue.
I believe it would be on that TV. This is the one that we're using for Zoom. Unless you wanted to log into Zoom and screen share, we could do that.
Is it a long cable that is over here, or do I need to go sit?
If you screen share, I wonder if that'll be better in the YouTube video in case like Dave wants to watch it later. Do you think that's going to be more visible?
Yeah.
He was someone who expressed interest in hearing the presentation, but had a personal conflict today. So. It's not what we paid for.
No. This came loose. So every time Betty leans on it, it pops. You go on it and it's bouncing.
I'll let Scott know.
Yeah. This is the new.
It is a month old.
Yeah, it's right. Yeah.
It's not necessarily aging out yet.
No.
But I could hear it when you picked it up.
Yeah.
Over here, there was sort of a crackling sound.
Yeah, that's I was worried about, but
yeah,
I don't know. Unless when they were moving it,
Um,
it loosened it.
if you go to claycountysd.org for the commissioners tab and pull up the agenda, the link is directly on there. It's probably the easiest.
So we have time to get through.
I don't.
You're ready. Trying to.
Looks like there's a second.
Yeah.
It's next to the Levi. Yes. Thank you so much for coming down. So this is Levi. He's a GIS technician with CCOG.
Oh.
So the product that we're looking at was developed by District 3.
Okay.
And so Sophie and Levi are here as CCOG representatives because they'd be willing, I believe, I don't want to mischaracterize anything, but willing to help work on implementing things that we might want to, since we don't actually pay any dues to District 3. They're just being very generous.
Yeah.
with their time.
We sure appreciate all of this coming. Yeah.
Yeah, if you could. I don't know if I can initiate it from my side. Doesn't look like I can. There we go.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
So my name is Harry Redmond. I'm with the planning district out of Yankton. About a year ago, Yankton County asked if we would be able to set up a online permitting application for them using Esri software products, which the county already had. They have the full Arc Online software system. That was mostly purchased for all the flood disaster mapping. I work with their emergency manager. I'm on the disaster recovery team. So anytime there's an event, I usually go in, set up some type of collection system. So people can go out and collect damages. So that since the county already had the software, they didn't have to purchase anything extra. So we were able to utilize through the Yankton County license, and all this runs on the Yankton County licenses. We don't host anything on our servers. So we go in, you start with Survey 123, which is a collection software in a what I would call an Excel spreadsheet form. Your county highway department's probably utilizing it for their small structures with the state.
Okay.
If they collect the information, they are actually utilizing a Survey 123 interface from the state. And if they are, you already have a PERC Online account because you got to have a login. If you're not, I believe the county does have a copy of ArcView at the assessor's office, maybe.
I believe that's right. Is that your understanding?
I think.
She
so.
does,
I think
but
she maintains.
we have the park also.
Because they were talking about ARC training costs and stuff recently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so since they have a copy of ArcMap, you do have the base level ARC Online. You just have to work with Esri to get it connected and up and going.
We have the next level too.
Okay.
We have, because the county uses it and Drew has it in his office.
Okay. So the only thing you would have to really watch and take a look at would be the number of credits you have for ARC Online. Credits are relatively cheap if you need more. I think to this date, Yankton County is about maybe 90 credits used through Survey 123 and ARC Online. And that's mostly for data storage and the permits, the automation that I'll show. So the first thing here is working with Survey 123, and you just go in and you have to set up your database and how you want data to collect. There's a lot of online help, and this is probably where Levi would probably and CCOG would come in, set it up. That's what I did for Yankton County. We didn't charge anything. We just did it as part of the services to get everything up and functioning. And you can go in there, customize it to how you want it to work. And that's what we did. We pulled a lot of our own databases. So you can't click within an ETJ area and submit an application. It just kind of airs out. We pull from existing data sets that the county has. So it's and we'll show you that, but this is kind of the start. It's all just based a lot of coding. It did take about 2 months to build, test, finalize, because you want to make sure it's the way you want it, because you can't publish it, start utilizing it, and then want to change the database. If you do that, you have to wipe it clean because you're really rewriting your data structure. So once you have it, it's set.
Harry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just had a message from someone that's watching on Zoom. Could you bring the mic closer to you?
Okay.
Oh, that should work.
Okay. So then after that is done, I think I have to go back to Zoom and share another screen, right? I don't use Zoom a lot, so sorry if I'm stumbling through it. Okay. Let's go to this screen. So once you have it set up and processed and published, this is the interface that the citizens would use. Yankton County has all these links on their website. So as soon as you click on it, this just opens up. And you just go in and you answer the questions. And this is all set up from that Excel spreadsheet. A lot of the times when you populate something, it will populate automatically down below, like your ownership information. Or when you click on your parcel on the map, it will automatically pull the data from your legal description. So you don't have to know that because most people don't know their legal descriptions. But the biggest thing was utilizing the map with the high-res pictometry, which the county does have. So you can get in there and click, and then it will pull some other data sets. So down below, or it's up above, I can't remember where the legal descriptions pull in. But if you tried clicking within the extraterritorial jurisdiction, it just it'll air out. It'll just tell you you need to contact the city with a phone number. So again, everything with a little asterisk, you have to fill it out because that is mandatory information that you want to collect. And you just answer the questions. With Yankton County, we did code all the cost values. Gary can talk about it. It's they have different, I think, maybe ranges, or it was kind of complex, but we were able to get it to work. And then you also have a post-construction. So if it was developed before you got a permit, there's your fine. So if you click yes, it automatically attaches a $500 fine to it. We also you can put in pictures. So we did scan in part of their zoning document for setbacks. And not only where you clicked on the map, it will also pull in your digitally your setbacks. So if you can't read the chart, it'll pop up and show you what it is. And of course, you have other sketches. So you have to have your building footprints, the front view or elevation view. You attach all your documents here. In Yankton County, they have some acknowledgments that we have collapsed just to save some space. But otherwise, you just get in and you do your signatures. You prove you're not a robot. You hit submit. And once you hit submit, this is the interface for the planning and zoning staff. It's built, again, using Arc Online, and it's customized how they want to see it. Everything is color-based, so if all the green dots have been completed. If there is a bright yellow dot that shows up, it's really large and obnoxious. That's a new submittal. You will see that, and you just go in, you click on it, and you start plugging in some of that information. I don't want to click around because this is live, but it always brings in the database. It should be bringing in the most recent one. So it's pretty easy to find. You can search for things. Also with this, you can generate dashboards. Okay. This is just a demo one. We're still thinking, or maybe the county is still thinking of developing one strictly for the planning boards. So during their planning and zoning meetings, they'll have all the permits that have been applied for. You click on it, you will have all the information that has been submitted, as well as the documents. So you can see drawings. You can click on them, they'll open up. And then whatever is in your database, you can have statistics running on the side. This, I just pulled in the number of permits that have been submitted, kind of broke it out by, most of it's new structures, 74 out of 95, and then 80 have been approved. So there's 15 that are still kind of in review or, denied. But again, this is a dashboard that is completely customizable on how you want to see it. Then that's all just running on your ARC online system. One thing the county wanted to do was start doing some automation. It would be nice if once you hit submit, you got an email kickback saying it's been received and the county will review it. This is where the software Make comes in. It is initially free, but again, the more customization, then you need to start paying for some. And I think it's about $100 for the year. So it's not terrible. So we use the function survey 123. So as soon as somebody hits submit, it has this trigger, goes straight to your Office 365 email, and it's a pre-generated email that we have in there, and it will kick a response back to the person as long as they filled out their email address. It'll go to them. It will also go to any county employees that you want to put on it. So Gary gets one and Bill gets one. And so they get an email notification that there's been a new submittal. So then they can make sure they go to that interface, look for it, and start their process. It's a very simple, easy thing to set up. And if you have your full suite of Office 365, you can do some more automations there. But right now, Bill just kind of sends me a quick email that he's completed permit number 365. I go to survey 123, click on that building permit, and I say generate reports. And well, sorry, before I get there, there's an example of an email automated. So it kind of gives a recap of what they've put as far as their submission, and then just a little blurb that the staff will review your request, and you've got the total dollar amount so they know how much they owe. So now I'll go to this other thing.
So when that automatic response, that doesn't mean somebody's actually seen it. It just means it's been
submitted.
And
I believe that's what we have in that email. If I get this off.
Yeah. So currently then what we do is we just generate an email back to them that says it has been reviewed and it's ready to be paid. And they can either call the treasurer's office to do a credit card, or they can bring in a check, however they choose to pay for it. And then they get the final reports with the PDF of the building permit itself that they post out on the property. And so once we get our new website that we're going to be working on all set up and all automated, basically it'll just be a process that goes through each step. There's emails all the way through, even to eventually the end one that goes to equalization, so that they know that this is a building permit that they need to go out and review and assess.
Yeah, so on the email, yeah, we just have permit submitted. Doesn't say anything about being approved or, and then because I believe the county has 14 different permits that we did, it also just tells them which permit it was.
You got like CUPs, variances, zoning changes,
flood zone,
9/11 addresses. I saw
addresses.
Building permit and the address request are I'd say the two most used. And the address request one it's very simple. It's literally just a point and click on where your driveway is, and then it retrieves a lot of the information and comes to me. I take the longitude, latitude, locate it, assign the address, and it's a very quick and easy process. So then building permits, here we are. So when it's all set, there we go. When it's all said and done, survey 123 will generate the building permit application, as well as the little placket that they put in the window or wherever. And so you just generate this. You have it most likely as a Word document anyway. You just go in there where it says permit number, date, work authorized. You just put in a little code that ties to your geodatabase. Whatever is in that field, it will display there. And it takes literally 14 seconds, I think, to generate those two things. So when Bill sends me the email, usually I just hit process and export attach the PDFs back to them. But you can export it out as a PDF or a Word document. I always recommend a Word or a PDF, so you can't,
tweak the date when you.
Yeah, because the dates and the signatures, all that comes straight off of the survey. which, you know, you probably saw that Excel spreadsheet. There was a lot there. Most of it is hidden from the public. So it will collect some information that the end user doesn't input because it's using their internal computer, date, time, you know, that kind of stuff.
And so we have electronic copies and hard copies too. So you have your backup regardless. And that's also nice. And like Harry said, a big thing is the calculation of fees up front. We do $50 for the first 1,000, $3 for the rest of the thousands, whatever that valuation is. And so it calculates that all out for us. If they didn't get a permit when they were supposed to, we had a $500 post-construction fee that automatically gets calculated in also.
And all this data is being collected in GIS form. So that's kind of nice. So you can always pull it down locally, do an analysis. You know, if you're seeing a lot of fees, post construction fees, you know, maybe you want to end up upping it to make it sting a little more. But I don't know.
And it's nice for budgeting purposes because we do have those numbers that are all adding up of how many building permits we've had each year. And so that all gets added in. And so basically down the line, I think once we get the new website set up, we'll probably put those dashboards out for the public and so they can see, even though now they can get a manual report, but they can see basically how the county's doing each year on development. So,
and one thing on that zoning permit manager, the main website that they use to approve and deny, you can add whatever layers you want there. So we do have the floodplain layers, other addresses, any layers that are necessary for them to make a determination to approve, deny, or request more information. Okay. And that is also one of the things I think we do pull in when they click a button. It goes behind the scenes, bounces against the FEMA floodplain layer, and will determine what zone they are in.
Because that was something when you were presenting this at the local governments meeting that I first heard about it. I liked that you had this live feedback on, am I within a setback? Am I in a floodplain? You know, and I think that seems like a lot of value there. And so I'm getting that right. That's something that the user, when they're filling it out, it's going to come up with a little flag saying, just so you know, you're building in a floodplain, or
that's the advantage of using the map, is you can put that point to where that building's going to be on your parcel and then do a dimension to that point so that you know and shows what those setbacks are versus what we require. So,
and one thing that they have access to is they can move the points. So if you're applying for a shed and you dumped it right in the middle of your house, well, you know, Bill and Gary can go in and move that point to where the shed is
where it
going
actually
to go. So then you can start building really nice pinpoint data set of where these construction things are happening on property.
Nice.
So from the point of view of a user, I guess this is maybe a question for you, Gary. What are the main advantages?
Basically, they can do it at any time is one of the biggest ones. I can submit a permit at 10 o'clock at night. I don't have to come into the office 9 to 5, you know. And so there's definitely a lot of advantage there. Plus, we don't have to sit with them and go through each step and things and fill out a hard copy permit to do that. And that's been the real advantage. About 6 years ago, they decided to go electronic, and we had another system that worked great also, but there was showing the dimensions, the setbacks and things were a little challenging for them. And of course, we paid
a few $1,000s each year to maintain that. And when District 3 said that they were willing to build it for us and no at no charge, obviously the county took that into consideration also to save a little money each year. So and it's just a lot simpler now, the process they have to show those setback dimensions.
So that would be, because I was curious about like how the rollout has gone in your office and how much utilization you're getting, and if you feel that there's any trends in like people utilizing it more or less. But you're saying that prior to this, I was thinking prior to this, you had like downloadable PDFs or something, but you did have an online system now for 6 years.
We did, and that was through Beacon, through Schneider, and it was a great system, but you know, the cost benefit and things, and a little easier to use is what drove us to this. And so it's been great. People have been real receptive to it. Like I said, once they hear they can just do it at home on their phone, even, you know, they don't need a laptop or anything, a computer. They can do it right on their phone if they choose. So it's easy to use and quick, and luckily we don't have to go through this since we don't have building inspections. Our process is pretty quick basically versus a city type process. And so they can generally get a permit pretty fast.
So that was so unfortunately Drew wasn't able to make it to the meeting today, but in some of our discussions he said that Clay County had attempted during COVID to roll out an online system and they just could not get anybody to submit a permit through there. But did you have any challenges like that with your initial?
Yeah, we don't give them a choice, unfortunately. That's, you know, and there are times when you know, we may have to help someone through the process a little more, and we're certainly willing to do that because we understand that not everybody likes working with computers and things, but you know, and the ability to just scan and upload the photos and the, you know, what the building's going to look like, what the house, all the house plans are going to look like, is just saves them a lot of time and effort to just be able to do that right away and not do a back and forth thing but if they need help scanning a document or something, we're always willing to help.
It seems just as easy to pull this up in the office.
Yeah, they can just email us the photo or something and we can upload it into the system.
Yeah, that's the other thing is you can attach many documents in the office. So if the county has some, I don't know, some FEMA things for their floodplain permits, they can scan and attach more documents than what the end user provided.
Okay, all right, we got it. So in the office, you can add things to their submission.
Yeah, you've seen like a cell tower application with hundreds of pages, you know, of documents showing the plans and things. That can all be easily uploaded into the system.
So do you think that your office, so now you're 6 years into using online permitting, do you think that what's been the impact on staff time, I guess?
It's definitely been a lot less because we're not sitting there with them for an hour per citizen that comes in to fill out all the manual things. So it saves us a lot of time. And like I said, you know, everybody's moved to buying things on the computer, and there's a lot more people that are used to doing that. And so these forms aren't really a big challenge for people for the most part. So it's definitely saved us a lot.
And with a lot of these questions, you can put in generic help, you know, so description of proposed construction, and then below it is kind of a help, kind of what you're looking for.
Okay.
What type of information. So you try to, you know, make it as user friendly as possible, and you know, especially with the 911 address request. I have gotten a lot of feedback from people around Yankton County of how simple and easy it is to use, because it's just asking you the questions only that we need. It's not a lot of extra fluff, and it's very useful.
And all those sign off issues like the CAFO requirements that they acknowledge that, you know, the farms are out there. This can't be an issue for you if you're getting this building permit, or fire protection that they have to do, you know, notify the fire department if they're in this situation, or lock boxes for the subdivisions. All those things they just acknowledge by a checkbox, and you don't have to sit there and read through all that information with them on every permit.
The one thing I added, because I didn't know, I built my own shed, and I didn't know I needed a state electrical permit, and I was doing my own work, and the guy just went to the wrong spot, and he showed up and kind of informed me that I do need an electrical permit. So I did put in there some other possible permits that will take you a direct link straight to the site. Doesn't say need it, it's just an FYI, which I would have thought.
For plumbing and electrical.
That's smart.
But
so I think one of my thoughts with you guys coming down today was I was curious whether, especially after some discussion with Drew, like how many pieces can be a la carte pulled out of this, and it does seem like everything fits within, you know, something that's constructed. You couldn't. It's hard for me to think of a way that we could add a little ArcGIS tab to our downloadable PDFs or something like that. That doesn't seem like. It seems like you kind of have to build out a whole system like this, and then we might not need to do everything that you did, or we might want to do more, but we couldn't just like pull the coolest things like the map and somehow stick that into our existing system or something.
Yeah,
like
some
that.
of your permits could probably just be a really nice fillable PDF, because I believe you can submit a PDF. You can do like an email link, so when you're done, you can have it automatically emailed. But more complex, and especially if you're gonna use it a lot, the building permit and 911 and your variance and CUPs, I'd say would probably be your main focus.
Yep.
Other questions?
It looks to me like there's, you know, especially for larger counties where there's a lot of growth, it could be very useful to automate like this. The downside is that you're probably giving up the personal touch, the interaction with zoning, planning and zoning guy, and that you're, you know, like Yankton County's history always comes up, to me at least, is that you're probably in planning and zoning, you're maybe the most contentious county in the state, especially particularly on a per capita basis. You know, your planning and zoning over the last decade or so has been in the newspaper more than any other county in the state, perhaps.
But we do have, yeah, we do have generally the interaction anyway, because people come in to start with thinking maybe they can do a manual permit, and then we tell them, well, all our permits are online, or they call. We get a lot of calls, you know, on whether I can do this, that, or the other thing per the ordinance and things. So I don't know if it really changes that dynamic a whole lot. I mean, we still have a lot of interaction with our citizens on a daily basis. So
with the new system, you'd probably get sued anyway.
Other questions, comments?
Well, so I appreciate CCOG coming down. So based on the things that you've heard, is this something that should we wish to, you know, I don't think that would be imminently, but is this something that CCOG could work with us to implement based on what we have now? We've got pictometry, we've got, it sounds like at least second tier ArcGIS license. Yeah.
I think we can
Harry, as he mentioned, he's already set up the codes and everything, so I think you're just working with him to get that set up for you, and that should be easy to do.
All right.
Yeah, you just have to take it, tweak it to your own data sets and your data structure.
Yep. And you know, Drew does a lot of work on his back end data management. He really likes to do like kind of long-term trends, so that we can see how things are moving or not moving in the county. And so, you know, I think he definitely have a lot of opinions about just how that back end should be structured if we were to do anything like that. So that's great.
But as you've seen, those dashboards pretty much show that for you. And so hopefully it would save them some time.
Yeah, that was certainly my first thought when I heard you guys' presentation. Yep.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we really appreciate everyone's support.
Yeah. Thanks for coming over.
And
No
information.
problem.
We're always learning stuff from Yankton. Yeah. So we're on to vouchers, and if everybody has seen the last.
And the additions.
The additions.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's a motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Sophie and Levi.
Thank you so much. Yep.
Appreciate it. All right, anything on the county park?
Nothing new. We got a meeting coming up this week. So
Okay. Building projects?
We're still going forward. We're pouring concrete on the floors, so.
Hey, lots of progress. Joint jurisdiction, good meeting.
We did have a meeting and you were at it. And so, yeah, we gathered, you know, it was kind of sparsely populated as you expect. We'll have another couple meetings, the 20th. I think we've got another one coming up. That'll be during the day.
And that's here, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Noon to 1?
Yep. And, we, Sean did a nice job of presenting kind of the overall plan and presenting, the basic maps, at least that are will be the main parts of the new plan, however it ends up. So we get a little more public input, and then we'll go through, take all of that, and then go back to the small joint committee, and then into each of the planning and zoning commissions, and then end up on our desk. Probably late this year yet.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that hard work.
It's coming along, and the maps were really helpful.
Yeah.
They were really well done. Any other reports? I guess we need an executive session for
Personnel, Rod, or?
personnel.
Also for contract.
And contract. Okay, so is
So-
there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved. For contractual and
For
personnel.
contractual and personnel.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are in executive.
Move to come out of executive session.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to come out of executive session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.